Welcome back to the show. We got the one and only with us. It's John Deaton. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. As promised, we're sitting here with him. John Deaton's in the house. John, how you doing, man?
What's up, brother? How are you, man? I'm doing well.
I'm doing good. So am I. And I trust that you had a wonderful Christmas with the family over the holidays, right?
I did. I'm sort of still in that vacation mode, just kicking it with the family. My daughters came home, obviously. Jordan's getting her master's in London. She came in, and Olivia's in California. She came in, and so it was a great time.
What an impressive set of kids you have there. I mean, they're setting the world on fire, buddy. That's amazing, and congratulations to them, too. So, look, we have quite a few things that have happened, certainly since we talked last, but in the recent space here and current news, and I want to start with a few things. One is IRS has some new crypto rules, and I want to get your take on it. This, to me, just feels like more Biden administration on the way out the door, just kind of hampering and dampening what's going on in the crypto space. Your thoughts?
Well, listen, when I was running for Senate, I brought this up, 87,000 new IRS agents, right? And, people like Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and all of these, they'll say, well, those are for the billionaires. And, well, I looked it up, Brad, and they're about something like 175 billionaires in America with a cumulative wealth of like 5 trillion. So you would only need 175 new agents, right? One assigned to each billionaire, 40 hours a week, 50-hour weeks a year to full time. Where's the other 86,000 plus IRS agents for? They're for you. They're for me. And they have a big focus on crypto, right? A few years ago, there was that first line in our taxes that showed up. Do you invest in, digital assets or crypto, whatever it said. And now, they're going to come after people. And so there's no doubt in my mind, even under a Trump administration, the IRS is going to enforce whatever the rules are on the books. So if you made a little money on Bitcoin, but all you did was, switch it and convert it to XRP or something like that, you just make sure you've accounted for that stuff, because I've been audited, just so you know, and it is not fun. And after I got audited for 2 years, 2-year tax period, it took 11 months of the IRS up my butt. At the end of it, Brad, they owed me money because, I actually overpaid my taxes and I got a refund of $16,000. But the amount of aggravation that they put me through for 11 months and stress and anxiety was not worth the 16 grand. And so I want people to make sure they protect themselves.
I think it's such great advice because, you don't want to get hung up with the IRS or any other government agency like this. And it is a nightmare. And trying to go to sleep every night and keep your well-being, your sense of well-being and health. And it's like nothing's worth that kind of pressure in your life.
Well, and I know there's people out there that are thinking, well, Trump says that, U.S. Crypto trading should be tax-free or whatever. I'm just saying you can't count that that's going to happen, right? You just can't. It's an election year. There's lots of things that we hear that are attractive that we want to come true. But listen, the machine of Washington, D.C. is very strong. And all I can tell you is that, the chances of crypto being tax-free, every crypto trade that you've ever done, no. You just count on the opposite. So what they should do is at least set aside what you think your tax liability might be, right? Put it aside just because you don't want to get hit, man. When you talk, I'll just let everybody know. In my tax years, I got audited with 2009, 2010. In 2009, I underpaid my taxes. I owed $9,000 more than I paid. In 2010, I paid 30,000 more than I owed, but they made me pay interest on the 9 grand I owed, right? And even though you know, they didn't give me interest for the money I overpaid. So the penalties and the tax interest that they hit me for a 9,000 under payment uh was tremendous. And so I'm just saying to people, you just listen, there's a reason people say two things are certain, death and taxes. And so just protect yourself. I fear that people are hearing these election promises, things like that, and then they think, oh, well, even if it's the law now, it'll change, and they go out and they treat themselves, and then they get that tax audit, and when they see what the government can do, it's pretty scary.
It really is. And I tell people, and I say this on the channel all the time, the only thing worse than not having money in your life is having some and then messing it up. So this is a crucial point to make sure if you're going to get yourself in that next tax bracket or wherever it is you've got yourself in the portfolio, don't mess it up. Make sure you just follow the rules. Okay, so now let's move to the next thing. Now, exciting stuff with the Real USD launching, and an incredible advisory board from Dr. Rajan from the IMF and the BIS, and then we have Ken Montgomery from the Federal Reserve. It's like Sheila Bair.
We have the tether issue.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, John. So, like, starting today, delisting in the EU's happened for USD Tether because it fell under a non-compliant status under MiCA regulations in the EU. I mean, are we going to see a mirroring of that, do you think, in the United States?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I would have to imagine with Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnick, who is our incoming Commerce Secretary, who was co-lead on the Trump transition team, who was trying to become U.S. Treasurer. As we all know, Cantor Fitzgerald manages their reserves and all of that. And apparently, they own, I think they're in the top 10 holders of U.S. Treasuries as far as Tether goes. So you would imagine that Tether has some kind of plan instead of this massive delisting. Now, my understanding is that Coinbase is the only one who's immediately delisting them, and they're going to obviously, and you already see it, Brian Armstrong yesterday talking about USD, which goes to show you the impact of this lawsuit on XRP, if I could just digress for a second. Because if you go back after Coinbase listed XRP in February of 2019, when you opened up the app, it highlighted USDC and XRP. And Coinbase actually promoted XRP. You can Google this. You could go and Google Coinbase XRP increasing cross-border payments, whatever. There was articles written how Coinbase was saying they were using XRP to expand their cross-border payments. The lawsuit came down. They delist XRP, and now we see Coinbase really only promotes USDC. You know what I mean? I'm just showing you that's just one impact of the lawsuit. And so how quick these other agencies, I think they got 12 months, Brad, to delist.
Yep.
Non-compliant. Now the question is, will Tether become compliant, or will Tether, I think I saw something about Tether buying some kind of stable coin company that is compliant. Are they going to try to backdoor it? I don't know, but I would tell you this. I think that Garlinghouse, who I said has got to be considered one of the top crypto CEOs, for sure. Yeah. Whether you love them, hate them, it doesn't matter. You can't reject that. They saw an opportunity, and I think they saw an opportunity with the lack of compliance with Tether, and that they could penetrate this stablecoin market, which is talking about trillions. People are talking about the stablecoin. Once we get really good stablecoin legislation in the United States, people are talking about trillions and trillions of dollars per year. So I think Ripple's angling itself in a very strategic way.
I do too, and I think it's just brilliantly played, to be honest, because I mean, you bring in people like Ken Montgomery, who was at the Fed and helped implement Fed Now, which Ripple's a part of, by the way. You know, these things look more like an integration transition team than it does like just some willy-nilly advisory position. It really looks serious, like what they're doing, and they have stated, Ripple has stated, they will begin using RLUSD in an enterprise institutional fashion in early 2025. So with the delisting window opening up for Tether in the EU, and that opening up, knowing that RLUSD is MiCA compliant, Ripple has a license in Ireland to serve the entire EU region. It's getting very interesting seeing all of this. However, John, there is another conversation, and it's this Ripple case. It's currently in appeal and cross appeal right now. And the question is, with the new SEC chair coming in, Paul Atkins, who has been pro-crypto, pro-Ripple actually, you know, and in the case and the stance of how the SEC has handled it, what do you see? Do you see the case being dropped, dismissed, in the light of legislation coming in, or is this thing going to appeal and going to SCOTUS? Because, John, there's two decisions in the Southern District of New York. One's Judge Annalisa Torres, and the other one's Judge Rakoff.
Yeah, listen, I mean, everyone's got to remember a federal district court case doesn't have like this kind of appellate authority, right? So if the Second Circuit decision is a much more powerful decision than Rakoff or Torres, and then of course you go up higher and the Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land. But what happens is in a district court case, especially here we have the same district, the Southern District of New York, what people consider these two competing decisions. So I wouldn't count on the case being dropped. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because Congress is not very apt at making rules, right? We know how slow they are. And you got to remember, everybody's got to remember, Trump has the presidency, he has the House, and he has the Senate. But then there's midterms. And historically, they lose one, the presidency will lose one of the Senate or the House, and then you get more gridlock. So they have 2 years to get this stuff done. And so if they don't get it done, if it looks like they're going to get legislation, stablecoin legislation, and let's say there's legislation that's going to put digital assets under the jurisdiction of the CFTC, and that they're going to come out with some kind of, rules of the road as for what's a security, what's a commodity. If they confident that's going to happen, then yes, I could see the case being dropped, right? And a stall of all crypto legislation, enforcement. But if they don't think that that's going to happen, then the best possible way of getting clarity is going up to the Supreme Court, because the current makeup of the Supreme Court, listen, there's a lot of people. You got guys out there like J.W. Barrett, right? Yep. Who is a legal scholar, heavily into crypto. He believes, and he's right, that when you look at the Howey decision for the Supreme Court, that last prong said that people like you and me, investors, that you have to solely rely on the efforts of others. The word solely. Well, after that decision, lower courts watered it down and said, well, the majority, and some courts said only a principle, or some courts then said if they rely on some of the efforts. And some people believe that the current Supreme Court would say, no, we didn't mean it to be watered down, that it's only a security. It's the only way you're relying on profits is by this, these promoters. Well, you can stake your XRP with other places that have nothing to do with Ripple. You can gain profits that way. That's not solely on the effort. So there's an argument out there that it's good for crypto if we're not going to get legislation quickly in the next 2 years, that we rely on the Supreme Court to give us that clarity. And I would suspect Ripple would win at the Supreme Court. Now, the reality is no one wants that overhang. It's going to affect price. So hopefully this incoming administration can act very quickly and give us the legislation we need. I would tell you this, I was promoting Brad Bondi on to be the next chair. Nothing against Paul Atkins, but I know Brad Bondi, and Brad Bondi would have went in there. People would have got fired quickly, and he would have absolutely said, let's take a vote right now to dismiss this case. Let's take a vote right now to whether or not we dismiss the Coinbase case. And I don't know if Paul Atkins is that going to be that aggressive. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think he's going to be obviously amazingly better than Gensler, but will he be that aggressive? Will he come in and be like, well, litigation that's already happened, let's see how it plays out? Or is he going to just favor certain industries or certain players in the industry? We'll see. Hopefully Ripple has positioned itself with the incoming administration and others in a positive way.
I hope so too. And because I can't stop thinking, John, about the idea that if they were to go in, even Paul Atkins, if they were go in and just drop this case, XRP in and of itself is not a security. Case dropped. That's the answer. That's the right. Well, Rakoff's case still stands, where he says all tokens are securities. And if that's the case, then XRP has this special designated decision that the court, that Torres has given it, while the rest of the space would be under what used to be, the storm of what Ripple and XRP had been under. And I hate to see that for the entire space, because there's a lot of innovation out here that can serve the market. And I want to see everybody have the level playing field. And Ripple, to their credit, and Brad and Chris, to their credit, could have done a deal early on, and they didn't. And they stayed in for the betterment of the space itself, and not just Ripple and XRP.
Yeah, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want America to lead, right? And it is an absolute absurdity that we are sitting here and Brad Kimes and John Deaton have to say, okay, well, in 1933, they passed a statute where they said investment contract along with a litany of other things, right? Notes, promissory notes, mortgages, stocks, investment contract. And there's this case from 1946 that dealt with orange grows. And now we're going to figure out how that law, that ruling applies to artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, automation, robotics, quantum computing, or whatever other technology that we have. It is insane. It's insane that we're applying 1933 law to modern day technologies. And so I just really, really hope that this new Congress in this 2-year window really makes crypto a priority. Now, there's reason to be optimistic, right? Trump said he's going to make America the crypto capital of the world. Well, the way you do that is you make it clear, these are the rules of the road. Come to America. Here's the incentive to build here, develop here. And if that happens, we're going to see an explosion, And so it's what I fear is that Washington goes and there's arguing over this nonsense and it doesn't happen. Then there's midterms, and then, all of a sudden we lose more years, and then 4 years from now there's a new election and it goes the other way. And then all of a sudden they bring back the anti-crypto shit. So we have a 2-year window to really get it right. And I hope we do.
I really think that's so well said. And speaking of which, I mean, we know he's appointed Steve Bissett as the U.S. Treasurer, crypto-friendly. Paul Atkins, crypto-friendly. Brian Quinten's crypto-friendly. Howard Lutnick, crypto-friendly. So let's hope that, as you say, moves us along to where we need to be. Like they're obviously picking the kind of appointees that will be looking to work around a framework that does embrace crypto. So let's hope they get the job done. Now, in the next topic of discussion here. It's MicroStrategy. And should we see the kind of legislation or pathway cleared for crypto, or even more specifically, it works out for us Ripple XRP, but I hope it's for the entire space, honestly. I really do. MicroStrategy keeps Bitcoin at value on their books, but currently Ripple, up to this date, keeps XRP at $0 value on their books. When might we see that change and Ripple adopt MicroStrategy's model and keep XRP on their books?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I've publicly said that if everything happens the way we hope, then I'm predicting a Ripple IPO no later than first quarter of 2026.
Wow.
I think it could happen in the fourth quarter, right? Before the end of the year, but it takes time and there's lots of things that need to get done. But I couldn't see why not. And, I think when Ripple, I think it was January, Brad, that they bought back a lot of their shares. I think it was $300 million worth, valuing Ripple at $11 billion. Well, they have, what is it now, like 45 billion XRP in escrow?
Somewhere in that neighborhood,
Right, somewhere in there, 43, 45, somewhere in there. So let's just take 40 because it's easier to do. 40 billion times 2 current dollars is 80 billion. So if Ripple without XRP is 11 billion, well, you're almost at $100 billion valuation for a company currently trading in the private equity markets at 11 billion or 10 billion, whatever it is. So yeah, I would imagine that when there's absolute clarity, why wouldn't they do that? Yeah. I mean, listen, I can tell you this, that it's almost like I kind of value that already. Like I kind of value it on the balance sheet. I know it's in a cryptographic escrow and they can only get 1 billion released per month and all of that. But that was all done because of a lack of clarity. That was all done because of Ripple saying, look, we're not going to dump 5 billion XRP in 1 month to the market. So let's prove it to you. We'll cryptographically put it in this escrow that's a time lock. We can't touch it. All we can touch is 1 billion per month. Whatever we don't use or sell or whatever goes back into the escrow. That was a way of giving, I think, the market confidence that they had good intentions, right? So when all of the lack of clarity and all of that stuff is removed and we're in a bull crypto market with great legal clarity, I can't imagine that they wouldn't do that. Also, listen, we see at XRP, Wall Street's greedy. Yeah. The one thing, everyone says there's only 2 things. I said earlier, right? That's certain death and taxes. There's 3, right? And that's the greed of Wall Street. Yes. Now, you're going to tell me if they see that the Bitcoin spot ETF is the greatest spot ETF in the history of ETFs, well, shit, let's do XRP. Let's do this one. Let's do that one. And so we already know that there's ETFs on the way for XRP. And why wouldn't a company that looks at the MicroStrategy sort of plan, capturing arbitrage and the volatility and all that, say, hey, let me buy 1 billion XRP at by that time, hopefully it's higher than 2, right? But anyways, let me make a $5 billion investment and put it on and get a 0% loan and collateralize it and all of that kind of things. And so I think I can't see why someone wouldn't do that. Yeah, I guess is the point. You know what I mean?
And we're inside a 90-day
other than
window.
Ripple. I mean, Ripple, yes, but even other than Ripple.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in a 90-day window right now for the first round and wave of applications of XRP spot ETFs. So we're closing in. Like, we should start to hear something end of February, into March should be a window where we start hearing about either the approval or not of these XRP spot ETFs. I love it because you're going to talk about upward pressure on the market. There's only a certain amount of it. Then you got the market makers, market participants, certainly once legislation is passed, will be able to use it in mass. Then you have the demand for the actual ETFs itself. Then you have demand for automated market makers for people just want to lock it up. This is the kind of, I can't wait to see all of that begin at once. That's why I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, and listen, I've always said, and this makes some people upset, even people I'm very friendly with who are more like only believe in Bitcoin, is is that I've always said XRP is going to be one of the winners.
Yeah.
To what degree, to what price, I'm never going to be able to judge that. But I think it's proven that. I think that it's proven, and I do think that there's a chance that it flips ETH again, like it used to. We'll see.
Yep.
But I definitely think that you're going to have, a top 10, let's say, digital assets, and I think that XRP has proven its resiliency, that with the most overhang of any other crypto asset, it has actually done better than any other crypto asset, I think, of the major caps
Right.
in the last year, right? So
I believe so, yeah.
right, I'm just saying is that it's even outdone Bitcoin as far as the last 6 months, say. So I think that there's reason to be positive. I just hope people out there, and I'm one of them, Brad, I've always been one of these guys that I give really good advice. I really do. I just don't take it myself, right? So like I can't tell you how many freaking times, man, I'll say, listen, you put 5 grand in, okay, and now you're up 400%. Take your 5 grand out, right? Take your 5 grand out, put it back somewhere. Now it's house money, right?
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time, and then I don't do it,
You
right?
don't do it. I don't do it either.
I'm a moron, man. I'm just like everybody else. I'll be like, I don't want to sell. I think it's going higher.
Oh man, I'm in the same boat. There's no saving me. I can tell you that. I threw the anchor away. So let's talk about this because something good coming up here. Next 5 months from now, we got XRP Las Vegas 2025. We got John Deaton on stage. This is going to be amazing. Listen, the legal panel that we do every year with you and everybody else that we put together is one of the standouts of the entire 2-day conference. And I can't wait to get you and everybody else on stage to find out what we'll be talking about by then. Because look, we've got, as you cited this, the Trump administration has made some big promises to crypto. They're talking about no cap gains on U.S. tokens and U.S. crypto companies. And now, Ethereum's located in Switzerland. So to the point of that, I mean, you could see that flip happen just on that happening alone. Or if it's a lesser tax structure and not but, just much more minimal per se, you could see that because the people building on that, people buying into that network are going to have a higher tax implication because of it. So there are things to come that we will have a lot of time to prepare for that we've yet to see unfold, and I can't wait for you to be there.
Well, thanks, man. Always thank you for having me. It's a great time. We're going to see I go just to find out how you're going to outdo yourself, from the last time, because each year it gets bigger, it gets better, it gets, and I always said that if Kimes can pull this off with XRP at 49 cents, I can imagine what this dude's going to do with $3 to $5. I mean, but no, listen, it's a perfect time for you to have, I think you've picked the right, month and whatnot, because by that time we're going to know what Paul Atkins, right?
Yeah.
Confirmation should have happened.
Yep.
And we're going to see a few months of what's he like,
Exactly.
We God hope, help us if he's like a Gensler in the sense that Gensler was, he taught at MIT, he's going to be great. And he comes in and he's, Elizabeth Warren's minion, and he does things that are absurd and quite, in my opinion, unlawful. And then, so we'll get to know, is this guy aggressive? Is he coming in? We'll be able to talk about, is the appeal even still going? Has it been dropped? Has there been a vote? Has there been a stay? There'll be so much to talk about, and arguably we should be, I think, timing-wise, right at the height of the cycle and all that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You know,
and Bitcoin Vegas is happening Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then XRP Las Vegas 25 is Friday, Saturday. So they're butting up directly to where we are. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a remarkable week. And I hope everybody gets their ticket and comes to this thing because, we're social creatures as people. And the things that you're going to do, look, you'll get a chance to meet John Deaton in person. That's going to be incredible in its own right. And then to hear what you guys are going to say on stage, it never disappoints, John, because there's always something shared on stage those 2 days that you would never get otherwise if you weren't there.
right. Well, listen, also, you and I were talking about this off camera, which is, what has a lot of investors, holders, especially XRP holders, have been waiting for the utility era.
Yep.
Right? We've been waiting that, okay, you got meme coins, and it's been frustrating for people. They have an investment, they've done their research, whatever, and they see, they see some kind of snot knock rocket coin, whatever it's called, go up 8,000% or whatever, and then it crashes down and
Yeah.
and all of that. People have been waiting for utility. So, arguably we're entering the utility era, and it's an exciting time. It's a great time, I think, to be a digital asset investor, whatever your favorite token is or whatever, but it'll be a good time. There's no doubt. And I think that people usually are not disappointed when they come. So
No doubt about it. Yeah.
I know it's got to be a tremendous amount of work. So
It is, but I tell you, look, I mean, I'm very fortunate. Mrs. Backup is incredible. She's like a secret weapon when it comes to this conference, and she does so much heavy lifting. We really have to split the duties because, I mean, look, there's like three main people in this thing. It's me, my wife that put it together, and then it's me and DAI that market the thing. It's like it's that in-house, and we're anticipating, 2,000 people, maybe more at this event. And we've already sold essentially the amount of people that we had last year. So we've got 5 months runway in front of us here, and we may have to shut the actual ticket sales down because we do have a max.
It's a good problem to have.
Number. It's a good problem to have. Yeah, it's exactly right.
I know you're probably one of those guys that feel bad, right? Like you don't want to.
I do.
You don't want to deny, but at some point, but 2,000, man. Listen, I think I think what last year was like a 300% increase from the previous year,
yeah,
right? Or something
yeah.
like that.
400 plus on the first one, 700 plus on the second one, and now 2,000 is what we're staring down the barrel of here.
No, that's good, man. So I look forward to it. It'll be a long week.
It is going to be a long week.
Hopefully, if I go to the Bitcoin conference, hopefully I'm sober when I get on that stage for you.
They tend to have quite the party there. There's no question about it. And we're going to have quite the after party for you and everybody else on the finish on Saturday night, too. And I advise everybody to get their ticket for that. It is going to be out of sight.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, man.
No doubt about it. John Deaton, thank you for being here. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, brother. See you later.
Thank you.